The nation of England and Englishness is in decay.
A message to all the Muslims in the UK. We've done it, guys. We have successfully managed to infiltrate the Reform Party. Layla Cunningham, Nadeem Zahawi, Zia Youssef, just a few of the members we've managed to get in there. I'm going out to celebrate now with a pint of lassi. You guys celebrate too, and congratulations to everybody. Yeah.
And has been for some years now.
It feels as though Islam is taking over the West. Would you agree?
Yeah, they are, inshallah, soon. Inshallah, soon,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
world will become
Yeah.
Muslim, yeah.
Yes.
Most see it and do nothing, and some say something and are immediately told to be quiet and not to have such thoughts. Why is this? And what is its purpose? And why is it wrong to be English? I am reminded of a passage written by a Spanish-American philosopher, George Santayana, in his beautifully written book, The Soliloquies of England, and later Soliloquies, published in 1922. Santayana was a highly distinguished cosmopolitan academic who lived in Oxford during the First World War, and he fell deeply in love with the quiet, unshakable, and spirited character of the traditional Englishman. He wrote, "Instinctively, the Englishman is no missionary, no conqueror. He prefers the country to the town, and home to foreign parts. He carries his English weather in his heart, wherever he goes, and it becomes a cool spot for in the desert, and a steady and sane oracle amongst all the deliriums of mankind." Never since the historic days of Greece has the world had such a sweet, just, and boyish master. It will be a black day for the human race when scientific blackguards, conspirators, churls, and fanatics manage to supplant him. Look closely at the world outside your window today, and then try to remember the England that was. I am talking about a land defined not by a concrete sprawl, generic high streets, and a high-rise apartments, but by the quiet, permanent rhythm of traditional life. It was an England of dark, timbered villages, and of nestled safely behind the greenbelt borders, of quiet, disciplined high streets, with butchers, greengrocers, and of course tea rooms, where local shopkeepers knew their neighbours by their name, and of a people who carried themselves with a stoic, unspoken pride in their heritage. It was a country where the steam from a locomotive cut through the morning mist over the fields, and where the local schoolhouse stood as a fortress of genuine academic excellence and shared history. That world was not a myth, my friends. It was real, functioning civilization within living memory. Yet today, that entire landscape has been systematically managed out of existence, replaced by a bland, Americanized monoculture that asks us to forget everything we once were. I submit to you today, my friends, a proposal of defiance against these kinds of treason, and employ all who are in favour of Englishness to be strong in your conviction. Today we will attempt to discuss, ascertain, and endeavour to find out what has happened to England in the last century. Today I will not offer you a quick soundbite or edited distractions. I will lay out the case full, covering the key parts which are absolutely necessary. That which is being dismantled almost to a personal level and would appear to be systematic in its approach is the destruction of the English identity. This is not a sudden modern glitch. It takes deliberate effort to arrive at an era where the historic English character, fashion, manners, and etiquette have been lost and feel entirely alien. The governance of England was once anchored by gentlemen, lords and ladies, who understood that status was inseparable from duty. They didn't need to post empty slogans or broadcast their virtues to the world and insult their counterparts. Their responsibility was etched into the very soil they managed. They ran estates, sustained entire villages, employed local staff, and maintained a rigorous code of conduct, etiquette, and appearance because they knew the social fabric depended upon it. They were expected to be gentlemen at heart, capable of making agonizingly difficult decisions for the long-term good of the realm. Today, that entire concept of noblesse oblige, of privilege carrying duty, has been surrendered for a false progress. The modern establishment reaps the rewards of wealth and power while discarding the burden of leadership entirely. We have traded the dignified statesman for a class that demands absolute freedom to act however they please, and treating the country not as an inheritance to protect, but as a corporate asset to liquidate. Commonly, you will find that the very people who doom this country and its fate were the ones to bring out the champagne first, live in the English houses, and enjoy the English customs for themselves, with little regard for what had been left behind and what they had destroyed. To understand the sheer scale of this erosion, we can look at the great minds who witnessed the architecture of this decay. Mr. Peter Hitchens, in The Abolition of Britain, perfectly captured the rapid dismantling of our cultural geography, noting, "It was this incredibly rapid removal of all landmarks, signposts, objective measures, and maps which left us where we are now, lost boys and girls trying to invent our own ideas of the good, condemned to repeat every stupid mistake in human history, which really defines our age." This engineered self-abasement is exactly what Winston Churchill foresaw as early as 1933, when he addressed the Royal Society of St. George, warning us, he writes, "Our difficulties come from the mood of unwarrantable self-abasement, into which we have been cast by a powerful selection of our own intellectuals. What have they to offer but a vague internationalism, a squalid materialism, and the promise of impossible utopias?" And yet, despite this squalid materialism, the English character, the true English character, is something deeply distinct, rooted in a completely unique way of life. As George Orwell observed in The Lion and the Unicorn in 1941, he writes, "The insulation of the language, the tolerance of the English character, its deep-seated aversion to military discipline and uniform, its love of hobbies and privacy, it is a culture as individual as that of Spain. It has a flavour of its own." It was a flavour built entirely on the inheritance of duties, laws, and customs. To close with the words of Roger Scruton from England in an Elegy, he writes, "England was not a country of blood and soil, but a country of institutions, laws, and customs. It was an inheritance of quiet duties, where people knew who they were by the places they kept, the manners they observed, and the landscape which they protected." It is precisely that landscape, my friends, those manners, and those institutions, that I am here to defend today.